Hey folks, welcome to Bear Mountain today. We're doing an experiment. This is a gardening experiment. Under this blue tarp has been a compost pile that has been aging now since pretty much last November, October. And so where we're at is this thing is cold. It's pretty much just kind of sitting here finishing itself off. We're going to use this compost later in the summer as a top dress in our tunnels. So we have about a span of about 3 or 4 months here that what we could do is grow something in it. We thought, this is an experiment. Let's grow some early to mid-season potatoes in it. We've got some white potatoes that we had last year that I don't know if you remember, but we did a little video on how to take organic potatoes from the store, and we actually were able to raise them up and got quite a few potatoes out of it. But we also got a lot of very small, what you call seed potatoes, that we kind of just set aside. And so what we're going to do is we're going to plant this thing fairly intensely and raise a crop of potatoes on it. Then when it's done, we'll take the compost of what's left and we'll use that as a top dress. So now we're not really too concerned about fertility issues, saying, oh, the potatoes are going to use all the fertility in here, there won't be anything left, when we put it in the tunnel. But what we're using it for in the tunnel isn't necessarily fertility, as it is simply just for organic material. The other thing it will do once the potatoes are finished is we'll harvest from underneath the pile compost soil that we'll use for our JMS. So this has kind of got multiple things going on with it. So I thought we'd do the big unveil and we would plant the spuds and just show you that there is a use that you can do while a compost is aging out. So let's do it.
It's not necessarily that this is the only space, because
Nope.
we have lots of space. We just wanted to see if we could do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, other people, maybe they're space limited. You'd say, oh yeah, it's really defined bins and we got a procedure that we're going through. With us, when we make a pile of compost, there is a heat up period, but it's usually pretty brief. And most of this stuff is just, for us, is long-term aging out. So we tend to use our compost after it's been sitting for almost a year, anywhere from 9 months to a year. And so we just want to pretty well broken down. We don't do a lot of turning or anything like that. I may turn it once, just to bring in stuff from the outside of a pile or the inside, and check moisture levels or something like that. So our system of composting is not as intense as somebody who's trying to make compost in 30 days. This is not it at all. For us, it's just a slow term rot down. I mean, this pile here, you can see it's only about 1.5 feet tall. It was probably 4 foot, at least 4 foot tall, when we piled the thing together last fall. So you can see it's already gone down quite a bit. So, big unveil. Are you ready? Okay, what we're going to find under here is probably all kinds of different life. It's not going to surprise me when you find a few rodents. Also not going to surprise me when you find a few snakes.
That's why I'm sitting up here. I'm not afraid of much, but boy, snakes, that's the one thing that I am afraid of. I have gotten used to letting them be. I just don't like the startle factor.
Well, where we live in Western Oregon, there's only really one poisonous snake, and it's not usually around an area like this. It's a
But I grew up in
West Coast
Montana,
rattler. Yeah.
where it was all about rattlesnakes.
Or if you live in the East Coast and you got cottonmouth and
Yeah, I know.
all kinds of.
I'm trying my best to get accustomed to it. I know they're good for
Or you live in Australia and everything's poisonous.
you don't know that. Well, nothing's rushing out.
Okay, well, it's pretty well rotted down, but there's a lot of carbon sticks and stuff in here, and we're not going to do a lot to it. Maybe just kind of fluff it up a little bit. Let's see, I think we can plant this pretty easy. Yeah, this looks, oh, lots of worms too. That's a good thing. Lots of worms. And it's got a lot of moisture to it.
Smells good.
Smells like earth.
Smells earthy.
Earthy. This was all stuff that we pulled out of the tunnels from last spring into early fall. So we had a lot of center geranium waste, tulip waste. I got a few ants. Not going to worry about that. And still quite a few sticks, but you know, not going to worry about that too much either. I'm going to try to even the pile out a little bit.
You're going to plant in it with it that tall?
With what now?
It being that tall?
Yeah. This is what we're going to do. This is going to be like a hill of potatoes. So we'll plant all around the outside and to the inside. We can probably put, I don't know, I'm thinking 30 something plants in here. I'm going to plant it fairly intense and just let the roots of the potatoes go down. And as you can see, it's going to be fairly easy to get things out too, because the soil isn't really soil, it's just compost.
It's kind of like the one time we grew potatoes under straw.
Yeah, it's kind of the same concept. So, but yeah, I don't see any rodents. You know, I guess that's another advantage of having cats, because I know they've been hanging around these piles.
They've been hanging around these compost piles.
So they probably kept it under control. And this was all vegetative waste. There was no like manures or anything like that in it. So for us, what we're looking for is just slow rot. And most of these sticks will break up. Not going to worry about it. Anything that's really oversized that doesn't break up, we'll just throw back into the next pile we make when we get ready to, you know, spread this stuff out. This also had a lot of old blackberries in it too. I have no shortage of those on this place. We either compost it or turn it into char. Okay, these were the guys that we saved from last fall after we harvested. I think they're kind of a Yukon Gold, so I'm gonna say that, I mean, they're light, you know, butter creamy, kind of a little bit on the yellow side, so they kind of tasted like Yukon Golds, but they're all organic and they got lots of little nubs and stuff on them. So we're just gonna plant a whole bunch of these guys. We'll put them in, maybe put about that much of the compost over the top. So I'll just use my hori knife after I lay them out to kind of just plop them in like I'd be, you know, burying a bulb or something like that. And then we'll water them in. And once they begin to germinate, then what we'll do is we'll use some cut straw just as a mulch over the top to kind of help retain moisture in this. We're still in April. Today is April 5th, I think, or 6th today anyway. So, I mean, we've still got at least another month or so of possible rain. So I'm not gonna, there's plenty of moisture in this stuff anyway. So we probably won't even have to water these guys too much. And they should be done, if it was like last year, we'll be harvesting these guys probably like around in July sometime. And then after that, this stuff will be perfect for spreading out. So I'm just laying them out. It's not gonna be, I'm not gonna plant into the side. I'm just gonna try to keep it, you know, maybe that's about as far down as I wanna go. And I'm gonna put these guys maybe about a foot or so apart. I think we can get a lot of spuds in here. In some cases, I'm not gonna worry about overplanting because I got tons of these guys. So, and they're all showing really good amounts of, that one's maybe a little too close. I mean, there's really good sprouts, aren't there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and this is warm. I mean, it's like not warm hot, but like, you know, not like soil where it's kind of cold and feeling kind of wet.
It's not gonna cook them, is it?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
Not that warm.
not that warm. I'm just gonna spread things out a little better. So get these guys all over. This is an experiment. I've never done this before, so we'll
Right
see.
up our alley of, hey, why don't we try this?
Well, it's not only that, it's like, you know, the soil, the compost is really light and friable. It's got great moisture in it. Maybe we can get 100 pounds or more of potatoes out of it, because I'm way over planting this bad boy.
Or they're really tiny.
Well, you know, small potatoes are good too. You boil them
yeah.
up. So it all works. Or it just becomes another seed potato crop. But just about every single one of these guys has eyes in it. And you know, all I did to store these guys is we just stored them in a darker place, in the corner of the garage.
In a crate.
In a crate, so it didn't freeze. And, you know, they just did their thing. And I didn't pay for them. It's free. So, you know.
You paid the initial spot.
Okay, yeah, I paid $3 for a bag, 5-pound bag.
This is mostly just to see if it works, right?
Yeah, I think it will.
I mean, we got other potatoes
Oh,
coming.
yeah, yeah. We've
So
got
this is
some,
not our potato crop.
yeah, we've got ones that we actually know what the variety is.
Yeah, so this is more of a, do you think it'll work type.
I still have more left. How many do you suppose we got in here? Should I count? 1. 35. 35 doing 5 pounds a piece.
That's plenty.
That's gonna be a lot of potatoes. I think I need 36. There we go. That looks better. Okay. Okay. Planting's gonna be real easy. I'm gonna use my hori knife here and just kind of make a divot. Make sure I got it down where I want about that much soil over the top. So that's what, 2-3 inches? And then we'll just cover them like that. Now these guys should do really, really well. There's lots of moisture in here. Plenty of soil for the roots to grow in. And we'll keep track of this thing and just see how it does. But it seems to me it's kind of like an easy way of getting potatoes without having to, go dig a big trench in your garden or anything of that nature.
We're just getting too old for the big trench things.
Whatever I can do to find a reason not to dig.
I mean,
dig a hole.
We're not digging holes, trenches for tulips.
Yeah.
Any of that kind of stuff.
Well, it's like I watched this video by David the Good. I really love that guy. He's great. He came out with an April Fool's video that said his passion, true passion, wasn't gardening, it was shoveling, digging. All right, so we got all 36 of them planted, and the only other thing we're gonna do on this is we're just gonna wet it in. We still get freezing night temperatures. We got a couple more coming at us over the next about probably 5 to 7 days. But these guys are planted deep enough, and the compost itself has an inherent warmth to it that I don't think it's gonna be an issue in terms of of these guys germinating and getting nipped by frost. So hopefully this is going to work out perfect. That these guys will probably take about 2 weeks to germinate. Some of them might be a little faster because they were a little more advanced, but I think we'd be looking for these guys to start showing some green in a serious way, probably in towards the end of the month. And then when these guys get to be about 6 inches tall, then that's when we're going to bring in some straw as a top dressing over it to shade out any possible potatoes getting exposed to sunlight or anything like that. But hopefully most of the spuds will actually be down in the compost itself, and that straw will just be a topping basically to help preserve moisture and give the roots some shade. And then once the potatoes are finished, that straw will just be moved into another compost pile. So let's just wet it down and call it good. If we're lucky, we really won't have to irrigate this pile much at all. I'm thinking that even during the growing season itself, there's just a lot of moisture in it. And once we get the straw top mulch over the top, that dried cut grass will probably keep even more moisture in place. So even moisture for the potatoes will be a big positive, because what happens with potatoes is you can get kind of the heart of the potato can end up getting kind of a space in it if you have alternate wetting and drying conditions. So we're going to be able to control the moisture pretty good, I think, in this, that the potatoes should be nice and juicy. So that's it. Seemed pretty simple, didn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
Will it work?
Will it work? That's the experiment.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you folks for watching today and checking out this experiment. We'll check back in on it a couple of times as it's going, like when things germinate, then we'll do it again when we put the straw down, and just kind of all the way through to harvest. It's going to be interesting to see how many pounds of potatoes. I want to measure the number of pounds of potatoes we actually get out of here and see how it goes. Will something eat them all, or will they actually be potatoes? I guess we'll find out. But so far we didn't see any rodents or anything like that. So thanks again for joining us, and you guys have a good day. As always, stay safe. Join us next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.